I'll keep my freedom, I'll keep my guns, try to keep my money and my religion too.
Now, keep in mind that some of my guests have been approached by, Homeland Security or FBI saying, why are you going on the Clay Douglas show?
My message to those guys, if they're listening this morning, is go get a cup of coffee. Maybe you'll learn something.
We both took the same oath, to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I don't recall there being an expiration date on that.
I'm gonna keep my big BA, keep my friends the same, keep the government out of my business, and y'all can keep the change.
He is the free American, Clay Douglas.
We know what we need, we know who to blame.
Catch the Free American Hour, weekdays at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern.
I'll keep the USA and y'all can keep the change.
For the podcast and more details, visit www.freeamerican.com or catch the podcast by phone by calling 832-999-8621.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Free American Hour. I'm your host, Clay Douglas. And I want you to know, folks, this show is not sponsored by anyone except me. And the way I need to pay for it is by selling you some books. You need to read Mystery Babylon. You'll understand a lot better everything that's going on after you've read the history of the Rothschilds and the whole Homeland Security, the Zionist, Bolshevik, neocon takeover of our Congress, our government, our forms, and possibly even our religions. My guest today is Ewing, RCW Codebuster at gmail.com. Hello, Lewis. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well, all things considered. I got some of your paperwork, and I really appreciate it. And so let's just start out with that. I just had a doctor on. He's written a book called Blowing Smoke. He's a psychiatrist. He's been in charge of, he works with convicts in prison. And a lot of those people have been, that we talked about, have been put there because they were smoking marijuana. But according to the revised Code of Washington, RCW 69.50.302C3, you say it allows me to lawfully possess marijuana because I am the ultimate user.
I'm actually working on flyers for all 50 states, and I've got about 15 states done now. Basically, when you look at the law very carefully, there is a statute that prohibits you from manufacturing with intent to distribute, and there's another statute that they call it possession with intent to distribute. However, there is no statute in existence that prohibits you from manufacturing with intent to smoke it yourself, and there is no statute that prohibits you from possessing with intent to smoke it yourself. And what they've done is they've created what I call a unconstitutional statute because it wrongfully puts the blame on you if you're ignorant of the law. But attorneys say, oh no, it doesn't put the blame on you. But regular people don't understand legalese, which is kind of like Vietnamese. You and I could both say the word motor vehicle, but an attorney will have a different meaning of the word motor vehicle. Okay, so the burden of proof, they charge you, the cop pulls you over and finds you in possession of an ounce, a couple ounces, a couple pounds of marijuana. He charges you with possession with intent to distribute, but there's nobody else in the car. You didn't try to sell him no dope. You didn't try to give it to him. And he's charging you with possession with intent to distribute. Well, he doesn't know what your state of mind is any more than he knows what your state of indigestion is. But, never mind that, he charges you anyway. So now, it's on to you, the burden of proof. You're guilty until proven innocent. You have to explain away how it is that you possess, that pound or 2 pounds or 10 pounds or 100 pounds of marijuana, because there's nobody else's testimony. The cop can't testify he saw you selling it. He can't testify that he saw you distribute it. So the presumption, is put on you. The burden of proof's on you. So you have to explain away and say, no, officer. And keep in mind, all the cops, when they pull you over, they have a little microphone in the shoulder lapel of their shirt. So when they come to the window, they're actually recording you without telling you. So you want to ask, officer, are you recording this conversation, officer? 'Cause I want to make sure your microphone, gets me loud and clear. Can we do a test? Because I want you to take down everything I'm saying. Do you see anybody else in this car here with me, officer? He's going to say no. Officer, did I try to sell you dope? No. So, officer, your testimony, if you're going to charge me with possession, is going to be that you didn't see me attempt to sell or distribute dope to anybody else, and the cop's going to say yes. And, officer, for the record, did I try to sell you dope? And the officer's going to say no. Okay, well, the statute, when you look at the annotated case law for possession with intent to distribute or manufacturing with intent to distribute, they have to prove the essential element that you actually distributed it. On the back page of my flyer, it cites a case called United States versus Jewell. It says the statute is violated only if possession is accompanied both by knowledge of the nature of the act and also by the intent to manufacture, distribute, or dispense. And that's United States versus Jewell, 532 Federal 2nd, page 697. It's a Ninth Circuit decision from February 27, 1976. It cites United States versus Clark, 475 Federal 2nd, page 240, 2nd Circuit, 1973. And the statute that it cites, 21 United States Code Section 841A1, is worded in the conjunctive and. They have to prove the possession is accompanied both by the knowledge of the nature act and also by the intent to manufacture, distribute, or dispense. So if they don't have an attempted sale or a distribution, they got squat. All they got is the mere possession. And to accompany this flyer, I wrote a no intent to distribute flyer that lays out case law that says that. But let's look at that statute for registration. All the states have adopted this registration requirement from 21 USC. And 695302 says, C3, subsection C says, the following persons, now that's worded in the plural with an S on the end of persons, the following persons need not register and, that's a conjunctive word, and may lawfully possess controlled substances under this chapter. And ... means that skips subsection 1 and 2, and you see subsection 3 on my flyer. It says an ultimate user, or, that's a disjunctive word, you have a choice of one or the other, an ultimate user, or a person in possession of any controlled substance pursuant to a lawful order of a practitioner, or in lawful possession of a substance included in Schedule 5. Now, when you show this statute standing alone, any attorney, prosecutor, and judge, they will all lie to you. They'll say, oh, no, you have to have a prescription to be an ultimate user. Well, the statute doesn't say that. The statute clearly refers to two classes of people. It says the following persons in the plural with an S need not register and may lawfully possess. It says an ultimate user or the person has a prescription. So the question becomes, what's an ultimate user? Well, the attorneys who are in the code revisor's office decided to hide a definition a few statutes away, a few pages away, so that you wouldn't connect the dots and figure out what an ultimate user is. But, most people don't go reading these books, but I do. I spend my life reading this stuff.
Well, it says that ultimate user means an individual who lawfully possesses a controlled substance for the individual's own use. Now, but the courts are going to say, well, it's not lawful. It's not lawful.
Well,
right? Or that's what they're doing. I mean, that's how they're putting the people in jail, right?
Well, no, because the people they're putting in jail aren't making these arguments. And here's what the definition fully says. 6950-101-BD, ultimate user, in quotation marks, means an individual who lawfully possesses a controlled substance for the individual's own use, or for the use of a member of the individual's household, or for administering to an animal owned by the individual or by a member of the individual's household. And me being the smarty pants that I am, I wrote down Washington law allows me to get my dogs and cats high if I want to.
Now, somebody was asking about something on the side here, and they were asking about Social Security. They wanted to know if they were who has the right to have this individual's social security number? I said nobody. And it wasn't supposed to ever be used for ID, was it?
No, and in fact, if they want to send me an email, to my email address, rcwcodebuster@gmail.com, I have several flyers that lay out that you don't have to provide your social security number. And I wrote this flyer because I got pissed off. I had to fly somewhere last Illinois, and I hadn't flown in a couple of years. And they told me I wasn't getting on the plane if I didn't give my social, and it really pissed me off because I had no choice but to give it because I was flat broke. I was going to Chicago, Illinois, and I had a client there that was going to give me some money, and I parked my car at the airport with no money to pay to get it out of parking. So I gave my social to the Homeland Security goon, but I made him produce the story by which he requested that I was required to provide a social. And so he brought out this pamphlet that listed a few CFRs, and I wrote them down, and I discovered, gee, he lied to me. Can you imagine that? The government official lied to me. You think such a thing is possible?
I think it's impossible for them to tell you the truth. Otherwise, the slavery becomes apparent, and it doesn't work that well.
No, and
we are slaves, aren't we? I mean, this is what this whole thing is. You know, I mean, people will disagree with it. I'm not a slave, man. I can go get my pickup and go get a beer. Yeah, watch. Right. Yeah, it's called economic slavery, and it's been in place for thousands of years, and we've had it in place here for communistically for 100 years.
Well, here's the statutes. I just googled it up while you're talking. I didn't, I scrolled through my computer. They cited three statutes or CFRs. One was 49 U.S.C. 114 subsection F, 49 CFR 1540.105 A2. and 49 CFR 1540.107. So I looked those statutes up, and I discovered that there's none of them required a social. The closest I could find is 49 CFR 1540 A2 at subsection B requires that an individual must provide his or her full name as provided in section 1560.3 of this chapter, date of birth and gender. That's it. Not required. There's nothing in those CFRs or statutes that requires that you provide a social. They lied to me. It's nowhere in the statutes they gave me any mention of a social security. So I just wanted to look up the statutes that prohibit, for them requiring I give a social security. The 1974 Privacy Act, Title 5 of the United States Code, annotated 552A, based on the Privacy Act, and 88 Stat 1896, 1909, 1974, Section 7A1. And it provides that the collection and use of Social Security numbers is barred by federal agencies such as the Department of Homeland Security. And I decided to look at the Homeland Security statutes, CFR 8, Chapter 1. This is the 2003 edition at Section 103.35. Use and collection of Social Security numbers provides that the use and collection of Social Security numbers shall be in accordance with 28 CFR 1656. And also 7 CFR 400.410 reads, unauthorized disclosure of Social Security numbers or EINs by any person may subject that person and the person soliciting the unauthorized disclosure to civil or criminal sanctions imposed under various federal statutes, including 26 U.S.C. 7613, 5 U.S.C. 552A, and 42 U.S.C. 408. So I decided to look that up, and I discovered Title 5 at 552A, I, 1, 2, and 3 provides a $5,000 fine against anyone who demands to provide a Social Security number. And I also discovered Title 42, Section 1307 provides a 1-year jail sentence and a $1,000 fine against anyone who demands to provide a Social Security number. And 42 U.S.C. 408, subsection 8, provides that it's a felony crime for anyone who's demanding to provide a Social Security number. So I wrote these statutes down in a specific flyer the lazy statute's out, and it shows that Homeland Security has no authority whatsoever to ask you for a social. So if you send me an email to rcwcodebuster@gmail.com or rcwcodebuster@aol.com or at yahoo.com, I will send you this flyer. And
Okay, he says he'll do that, and we've got the link to your site up right there on the blog TV. But you never came on camera, Lewis.
Oh, you got me on audio, right?
I cut your volume down. I'm talking the audio on you is coming through the telephone system, the Skype. So
Yeah,
if you come up, if you open up your camera there, we won't hear your.
I'll pass on that. I didn't get all fixed up this morning. I'm looking like Captain Caveman with my hair standing on end, like I stuck my finger in a light socket.
No problem. No problem. You can be just as anonymous as you want here.
Yeah.
But
I'm not used to be awake this time in the morning, so it's a struggle to get out of bed at this time for me.
you said something interesting, I think, in our last conversation about the whole laws. You didn't want to legalize it. You didn't want to give the government the dominion over that, like they have alcohol and all that.
Yeah, see, here's the thing. The Constitution prohibited the sale of alcohol, and basically way back then in the days of the bootleggers and the moonshiners and Al Capone and the Untouchables and the mafia and the government, basically the government was pissed that these people were making all this money and they couldn't tax it and they couldn't regulate it because the sale of alcohol was prohibited. So the police harassed everybody until there was a general outcry to legalize booze, because everybody wanted to get drunk and have sex on the weekend and party and have a good time. So they harassed the public. There was a public outcry, and everybody voted that we're going to amend the Constitution. So we amended the Constitution to make the sale of alcohol now legal, and that's why you have that's why you have state liquor stores. You walk into a Safeway or an Albertsons, you can see a state liquor license posted conspicuously on the wall. Okay? Where in the Constitution does it say the manufacture or sale of marijuana is illegal or prohibited? It doesn't. Therefore, we don't need to have a constitutional convention to amend the Constitution to make the sale of marijuana legal, because it's not illegal to start with. They don't have the authority to regulate a God-created plant. The Bible says, eat the seed, and the seed is the meat. In the Bible, God gave man the dominion over all the animals and gave all the plant-bearing and fruit-bearing seeds. Okay, they don't have the authority to regulate it. Okay, because plants, like marijuana, grow in nature. It's not manufactured.
It's been around. It's been around for tens of thousands of years, probably. Hasn't it?
Right. So what they're doing is they're harassing the public because they're hoping the registered voters are dumbed down enough in the public school system, where I guarantee you, if you weren't schooled with a K, you were fooled. And if you weren't fooled, you were schooled with a K. S-K-O-O-L-E-D. Okay, so they're picking on all the dumb people that were graduated with a high school certificate of brains from the Wizard of Oz, where the kid's only goal is, well, if you don't graduate and get your high school diploma, you can't even get a job at McDonald's. So every kid graduates with the dumbed down mentality, I'm not going to go out in the world and be a business owner, I'm going to be an employee of Burger King and McDonald's. And so they're hoping that we're all stupid enough to vote to give the government the legal authority to regulate and tax marijuana and make the government our one and only drug dealer.
Now, if we went back,
monopoly on selling drugs.
If we went back to the states, I mean, where there's been a lot of discussion about states' rights and sheriffs and all that, standing up against these killers like the BATF and the CIA and the Mossad and all the drug dealers. Now, if we just abolished victimless crimes in state by state, because you got to work your way up to take all of the traitors out of Washington, out of the Senate and the Congress, right?
Well, your vote doesn't make any difference. Joseph Stalin said it best. You always voted for us.
Yeah. Well, I referred to the Republicans and Democrats as two wings of the same bird. That's exactly what it is, isn't it?
Well, they've rigged all the voting. Okay, you have no say-so. And the people have been incapacitated ever since the Civil War, which we lost to the British. See, they teach children in grade school in Russia and England and Great Britain that we lost the War of 1812, that we lost the Civil War. We all think that the Civil War was about freeing the black Negro slaves. No, it was about making slaves out of all of us. The British won.
And the Bar Association, the British Accredited Registry, accounts for all of our politicians, all of our lawyers, and they dance to the tune. They probably operate right out of the city of London, which is the Rothschilds enclave there, like Wall Street belongs to Goldman Sachs, right?
Well, I don't give much credit to or credibility to the people about the British who claim about the British Accreditation Registry. I don't put much stock into that, but what I do give stock to is the fact that every attorney is a member of the bar, every prosecutor is a member of the bar, and every judge is a member of the bar. These people have an exclusive monopoly on practicing law in our courtrooms. And this is what they're after me for, is the unauthorized practice of law, because they didn't want one of the goyim, somebody who's not Jew, peeking around in the law books and figuring stuff out like I do. Okay, I'm not a member of the bar, never went to law school, and yet I'm winning cases on a consistent and regular basis. In 2004, Kurt Riggin and I won the largest marijuana case in this state that's ever been won by a pro se litigant. We're talking 166 marijuana plants that were all over 6 feet tall, of the best purple buds you'd ever smoked in your life. We beat the case pre-trial. We kicked the Snohomish County Superior Court's butt so bad that they ordered the case to be unpublished and they ordered it to be sealed. And when it's sealed, what that means is you can't order copies of the briefs. They don't want you looking at why we won. And my briefs that went into the case, one of the briefs was, I wrote a really good medical necessity brief. At the time, this is why all the states now are making a big stink. They want to set the 60-day smokable supply of marijuana to be like 15 or 20 plants, is because we came up with a argument that because the statute didn't specifically state how many plants you could or couldn't have, the supply was unlimited based upon an individual's ability to smoke marijuana. And we submitted as an offer of proof under Evidence Rule 103, just like Johnny Cochran, which is where I learned about the offer of proof rule. It's like amazing. The glove didn't fit, therefore you must acquit. And under the annotated case law for Evidence Rule 103, subsection 2, the case law says that you have an absolute First Amendment right to make an offer of proof of the record. It constitutes a mandatory reversible error if a judge prohibits you from making an offer of proof for the court record. And the only way they can get out of letting you make an offer of proof for the record, they have to stipulate that whatever you're saying is correct or true. And here, they didn't want to let us make the offer of proof that, well, Kurt makes Cheech and Chong look like a couple of high school virgins smoking their first joint. Okay, Kurt could smoke anybody under a table. And so we made an offer of proof to do a live video demonstration that Kurt Riggin could smoke at least an ounce of weed in less than an 8-hour period. And based upon 166 plants that were all at different stages of growing, some of them just barely budding, that 166 marijuana plants wasn't enough for him to smoke to constitute a 60-day smokable supply. Because the law said you had to have at least 60 days of smokable pot on hand right then and there.
Papa Bear on the chat room is asking, did you get your pot back?
Yeah, no, we didn't. Oh, they allegedly destroyed it. We think they smoked it or sold it to to bust other drug dealers.
Now I've tried to point out here in my book Mystery Babylon, I got a hold of a document called Operation Watchtower, written by the commander of Operation Watchtower, Colonel Edward P. Catolo. And I met and found and tracked down people on his team. He says that, and this is all part of my book Mystery Babylon, that I'm not selling that many of. They certainly don't want that. The CIA was bringing in the cocaine, 100 plane loads of cocaine into Panama where Manuel Noriega shipped it up to Mena, Arkansas. I mean, and you've got the BATF arming the drug dealers and the drug cartels in Panama. I'm suggesting that the drug cartels are the CIA and the Mossad.
Oh.
And the CIA, they're bringing all the drugs into this country. They're laundering the money through the banks, and they're trying to put our kids in prison for that.
Yeah. It's, you know, you look at, you know, the war on drugs, and you think about the Constitution. Only Congress can declare war on a country, and you look at the map of the United States, and I don't see a state called drugs or a country called drugs anywhere on the map, even when you look at the world map. And the thing is, you know, drugs aren't illegal. So I wrote the free ultimate user flyer mainly toward marijuana. I'm not really promoting other drugs, but the fact is my ultimate user flyer works for all drugs because the statute says controlled substances. The following persons need not register and may lawfully possess controlled substances under this chapter, an ultimate user or the person with a prescription. Okay.
Now, you know, I wrote about the United States when 46 states had no laws against victimless crimes. I wrote about that 40 years ago, Louis.
Right.
And you know, 40 states maintained the same kind of laws they have today and imprison people, man. It was kind of, and by dividing it like that and showing it like that, you could get an idea of that the society would not be that hectic if we did allow drugs. If you can sit down in your living room and smoke a joint, you're not going out in public, you're not endangering nobody, then nobody should be bothering you.
The problem is we have dishonest attorneys, and then we have honest attorneys that are honestly just too chicken shit to stand on their legs like a man and argue in court. I mean, I've had people say, well, you know, there's an idiot radio announcer in Washington. His name's Ken Tram, and he's saying, and no attorney's ever spotted this before. I said, no, it's not that they haven't spotted it before. There's a lot of them that have spotted it. It's just that how is the attorney going to look at you in the face and say, I want a $5, $10, $15, $20,000 retainer when you have the answer to beating your case on Louis Ewing's flyer for free that didn't cost you more than 3 cents a Kinko copy to make a photocopy? I pissed off all the attorneys in downtown Seattle 7 years ago. I handed out 10,000 copies at my own expense. I spent my own money and printed up 10,000 copies of these ultimate user flyers, and I walked around the Seattle Hemp Fest, and I had no less than half a dozen to a dozen to sometimes as many 20 cops no further than 10 to 20 feet away from me the whole time, following me all around the Hemp Fest, because I'm yelling at the top of my lungs, I have a free dope flyer. You can legally possess marijuana. I guarantee you no cop's going to bust you if you have my flyer. They were pissed. They were pissed. They wanted to arrest me. I had 3 warrants for my arrest, and they still wouldn't arrest me just because of who I am, my reputation for, you know, beating cases. I beat all my cases. And, you know, the problem, the cops, why they're scared to put me in jail? Well, I'm so good at the law, you know, this is hard for people to believe. I write, you take me to your jail. I'm going to take the kites that you people order candy bars and toothpaste on. I'm going to flip it over to the blank page, and I'm going to write motions to dismiss this guy's case and motions to strike this guy's illegal cash-only bail, motion to set this guy's bail with the bail bondable amount, motion to dismiss this guy's driving while suspended charge who hasn't had a license ever in his life. You know, I get people out of jail when I go to jail, and that's big trouble. One time in King County, about, I don't know, 14 years ago, they put me in a tank with like 170 guys. I got less than 9 guys out in less than 5 days. Then at 3:30 in the morning, these 3 huge gigantic guys that were like, I'd say between 250 to 320, 6'4" to 6'7", showed up at my door, banging on the door, and I thought they were there to kick my ass, excuse my language. And I said, what's the problem? They go, Mr. Ewing, you're practicing